back to Antique and Garden Showcase. You might notice that I'm hands-free from a camera. That's because I actually took the time to fix the tripod. It's been broken for several months now, the little clip that holds the phone on. I had another one, didn't realize I had another one that would fit it, so this morning I just got up, I'm like, let me see if that works, and it worked. Anyway, I've had a lot of loose ends I talked about in the last video that I've not gotten to, and I never did get back to caladiums, finishing those up, so I want to look at that this morning as well. Also, the bed to a bench project, this is kind of where it's at right now. You can see this piece, this is the old bed rail. This was one of the ones that was good. So I repurposed, if you remember and if you watched the other video, and if you didn't, I'll put that link up so you can see the other bed rail was just like peeled. It was just like the wood was coming apart and it was destroyed. But the other side was good. So I took that one and I cut it down to 18 inches in length. I preserved the hardware, the original hardware for the bed, to put this back together. And what I did was I notched out, this is where your bed frame or the slats would lay on across the bed. I notched these out and I put the hooks back on here. So if anyone wants to take this piece and turn it back into a bed, it's as simple as buying a piece of lumber this wide and a matching wood, putting on a piece here, and then reattaching the original hardware. So nothing's been truly lost. It's there, it's been repurposed. But the next portion of this is I'm going to work on the deck that's inside. And I've got the lumber laying over here in the floor. Let me see if I can, I don't think I can flip this. I'll flip the camera and you can see what I have getting ready for that. So in the floor, I found a couple of long pieces here that I'm going to take, and I'm just going to make a deck connecting left side to right side, and I'll probably put a support right in the middle with another little leg that drops down, probably made out of solid oak. That's an exact fit. It'll be hid up under there so you don't see it, but it will offer support. So if someone sits in the middle of this bench, it's not going to sag down or sway or do anything like that. I want to make sure it's perfectly fine. And it's going to be covered with 3 individual cushions. So I've cut 3 squares that fit, and I've got those. Let me see if I can find them over here real quick. I made those simply out of plywood. As you can see, plywood. And I'm going to put a piece of foam covering over top of that, and then the covering that I chose, that I showed in the video the other day, over that, and it'll just be stapled to the back side. So there will be 3 individual cushions for this bed. Now, I've not taken the time yet to polish the bed out. It's not had any sort of polishing done to it, but I will, after all is said and done, I'll give that a nice touch up. There's a few little light places of wear, and then give it a good polish, and then that. This bed project has not taken all that long, but it has taken a little bit of effort to take the time to cut and saw all these out and then put it together. But in the grand scheme of things, it's been a really simple project to do. And this was just the perfect bed frame because it had a really low footboard to it that I didn't have to modify or do anything to. I'm going to be able to raise that seat right to the edge of that where it'll be a perfect, comfortable fit. It's going to be a low bench. It's going to be more like a reading bench, or maybe a foot of a bed bench, or maybe even a kid's room type bench. You know, I even had the idea, I thought if somebody wanted to take it a step further and they had a dog that they loved really well, they could, you know, make a nice pet bed out of something like this too. You know, it would be really pretty for multi-functions. It would be a good banquette for a kitchen or dining space. You know, the possibilities are endless with this piece. So that's why I went ahead and did this project. So you're probably wondering, wow, he has just forgotten about us altogether on this caladium project from earlier in the year. No, I've not forgotten about it. It's just something that got pushed aside. And in all honesty, I don't even really have to do it. These things are doing perfectly fine on their own in the little clusters that they're in here. But, you know, the reason to clean these down, or especially if I have these giant clumps and I want to store them, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll put a tray, stack a tray, put a tray, stack a tray, and then just build it up. It saves room. So for my purposes, that's probably the only reason I'll clean some of them down, is so I have more room on the shelf over there. Because in all honesty, it's December now. I took these out of the ground in September, so into September, so October, November, they're already 2 months into drying. And they'll be back in containers at the end of February and onto a heat mat ready to go for spring of next year. So my caladiums kind of came out of the ground probably a little earlier than some of the ones that you saw from other gardeners on YouTube. And that's because I started them earlier and they were just worn out by the time end of September or mid-September rolled around. Now in this one, I've got two different ones. I've got the lemon blush on this side and the rose glow on this side. I bought this as one big container from Lowe's and it was proven winners. So I ended up with just a little bit of rose glow and quite a bit of lemon blush, which is fine. But what I would simply do with these is just, I've got this bucket over here. I would just knock off some of this dirt around there so just that the bulbs are exposed. And it's so dry right now that it's really perfect that they're coming off this way. And the bulbs seem very firm, they're good. These are not separating. At this point is a good time to separate. I see good bud growth in there as well. You probably can't see that on the camera, but they're ready to come out. And then any of these stems or roots, I just take a pair of pruners and just trim and clean those kind of things off. And then this particular bulb is just down for storage. Now this doesn't look like a whole lot was done because these aren't huge clumps. I've got some that are enormous over there that need a ton of dirt knocked off of them and a lot of roots and whatever cleaned away. This was a brand new pot, like I said, from Lowe's, and it's just first year growth on most of these. So this is kind of typical what you get, and then the next year you'll double the capacity. But you just clean them off, dust them off a little bit, trim all those old roots off. Like I said, they're good and firm. And let's see if I can get this up to the camera, but you can actually see, if I can get this up here, there we go. You can see the new bud growth right there on the tips of that. So they are doing really well in storage. I do not put these in any type of medium or whatever. A lot of people, store them in wood chips or whatever else. I don't do that. 6B Kentucky is typically fairly humid. This garage that they're in stays, it's typically about 20 degrees cooler or warmer, 20 degrees warmer than the outside temperature. So if it's 28 degrees outside, usually around 45, 48 degrees in here. This garage is not heated. Now, if it gets down to single digits, we do throw a heater out here, that's regulated on a thermostat overnight, just to kind of protect things and whatever else. But typically this is a great environment to store bulbs. You've got a little bit of humidity and no problems whatsoever. But that's part 2 of the caladium cleanup that we finally got around to. One of the other projects that I talked about briefly in another video was recovering this footstool. Now, you've seen me do some recovering videos as well. In fact, if you're on Facebook, and I encourage you to go over to Antique and Garden Showcase on Facebook, I post some updates during the week that I don't put on YouTube on there as well. Most of them are photos, but I did have a picture of the needlepoint chair that I recovered that was part of the Ashford Institute of Antiques, the final paper that I wrote this week, and had a little bit of a Christmas decoration in it. But in that chair, I covered it with needlepoint in a video, and this footstool is a handmade Kentucky cherry footstool. It has a removable top in there, which makes this super easy for recovering. And I noticed under here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's dated 1970. So this makes this piece 52 years old. And it looks like there might be maybe 2 layers of material under there already, but I think we can all agree that avocado green is not the color for most interiors nowadays. So I am definitely going to be doing something with that and more of a neutral that's going to go in most people's homes. And this will be an item that's going to be going up for sale in the retail space. Retail space to date has moved, I think, 145 items since July. I'm very pleased with that. My goal was 30 items per month as just kind of a basic goal that I had, and hopefully to surpass that. I'm running a little bit behind. November was a little slow up until Black Friday and Small Business Saturday, and that pulled us through. But we're running probably about 5 items behind the 30 item per month goal right now. But I did put up a 50% off sale and one entire shelf in there. So I'm hoping that will help boost my items, help get some things out so I can put some fresh new things in the booth for 2023. So speaking of 2023, what are my hopes and goals for Antique and Garden Showcase for the new year coming up right around the corner? Well, I'm going to kind of continue doing much of the same. I'm going to kind of keep feeding in new items to the booth. I would really like to expand to one more location. I've got a couple of places in mind. I've talked to some people, some are really busy or have a long waiting list and whatsoever, but I am interested in expanding the business maybe to one more location sometime in 2023. We're going to see how that goes. My other focus is to make these videos much better. So I hope you can see improvement. Honestly, and I'm very sorry, it seems like I've rushed to put together a lot of things lately, and that's life. Didn't know, this year we've had a property sale, a large property sale. I started a business. I traded off a trailer that I was using on the farm property to buy one that was more suitable. When I bought that trailer, you all know the story. It was 4 inches taller than the storage unit that it went into. Totally unexpected. Right now, the month of December, I am moving an entire storage unit from one facility to a new one in order to be able to park the trailer, hopefully before Christmas time. And that's going well. I've already got about 30% of that moved. I hope this upcoming week that I can take care of the rest of that. So once I get things leveled off a little bit, maybe we can see things hopefully improve. And I really do appreciate you sticking with Antique and Garden Showcase through all of this. It's a growth period. We're at 71% of needed watch hours to get our YouTube videos monetized. So we're on the right track. It's just pushing forward to get there. And that's another goal that I hope that we can hit sometime mid next year, if not earlier too. So, as always, thank you for watching Antique and Garden Showcase. Glad to have you here, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great week. Bye, y'all.